subscribers and viewers of our channel. It is very important for us to understand what you like and what you don't like. Please do not hesitate to share your opinions in the comments.
I was an OTR driver for 15 years, 1994 to 2008. In all that time, maybe 5 or 6 times did lot lizards proposition me. 3 of those stick in my mind. First one. I had just pulled into the T/A in Santa Rosa, New Mexico about midnight. It was still hot, and I had the window down while I finished up my logbook. She stepped up onto the running board and flopped her bare boobs, and nice boobs they were, onto my window armrest. She just smiled and batted her eyes, and I couldn't help but laugh, while telling her I wasn't interested, and held up my left hand so she could see the wedding ring. She removed her boobs and covered herself up, but didn't leave. She wasn't at all like 99% of the lot lizards I had seen prior to that time. She was maybe 28, really pretty, and talkative. We talked for a few minutes, then she said, "Well, back to work, nice talking to you," and climbed down and disappeared into the maze of trucks. Not your typical encounter with a lot lizard. The more I thought about it, the more I came to believe that she was part of a Vice team. I had never seen her there before or after, and that was a regular stop for me. Because they had the best breakfast buffet. The second time was at the same place. This one couldn't have been more than 16, drugged so heavily she could barely walk. What made her memorable was that instead of asking me if I was interested, said, "You wouldn't want to have me, would you?" When I told her no, she seemed relieved and stumbled away. The third was in Sacramento. There was a little fuel stop or convenience store with room for maybe 10 or 12 trucks to park. I had my 8-year-old son with me and had just loaded. It was about 3:30 p.m. and I parked at the edge of the lot. We went across the street to a burger joint and got something to eat. We carried the food back to the truck, and while we were eating, this nasty-looking woman comes and assumes I'm going to indulge her. I tried to tell her I wasn't in the least bit interested, especially since my son was sitting there, and she said we could close the curtain. Then she demanded money. I told her to get the hell off my truck. She did, but a few minutes later, a car with a few unsavory individuals parked across the street, and she went over there and had a conversation with them and a couple of times pointed at my truck. I had planned to overnight there, but decided that was not a good idea, and we left and drove about 50 miles to the nearest large truck stop, and luckily found a place to park. That was the last time I ever visited that place in Sacramento. During my career, many times I saw them roaming through the truck stops, but I guess they had enough business from those who were interested that I escaped their notice.
Indirectly, break 19, for a good time, you hear it anytime you go by a decent-sized truck stop. You would be surprised at the number of lot lizards that make their living jumping from truck to truck. I was. Never thought there would be that many, and when the economy gets bad there's way more that show up. Direct a few will go around and knock on doors. That happened a few times, being woke up by someone wanting to fluff your pillow or give a midnight ride. Hell, I have had a few start hitting on me, and had a few offer free service dash. Crazy story. I was in AZ, still green lot lizard knocks on the door. I always tried not to be rude. I get up out of my bunk and come out to the driver's seat to give me a second to gather my composure. I opened the door, and she was really pretty, like took me back a bit pretty, which usually is not or wasn't the case 85% of time. She looked at me as I stared. "You're a truck driver?" Without hesitation I turned my head around toward the cab, and said, "I'm the only one in here, so I guess, I am today, tomorrow might be different." Now I'm not the typical view of a person you would see in a truck. I am pretty fit, good looking, and even have all my teeth, which crazy enough was the same reason I was astonished at her. Anyway, being I was gonna get up in an hour, I turned her away, and told her I didn't spend my money on services. She smiled and went about her business. I got dressed in my day clothes, and got my pearls polished, was walking in, and the girl comes running from between the trucks from making it about 1/4 down the row, working those door handles. She said, "I normally don't do this, but can I come get breakfast with you?" "Sure." Expecting she might have had a slow night and needs a warm cup of coffee or something, breakfast. Anyway, we started talking, and I didn't care for talking about me much, always found that PPL are way more interested in themselves than my shit, so here I am listening and having a great conversation with this beautiful lady for breakfast, and she tells me, "Hey, she's a lawyer." "What? You're a lawyer and your sideline is a lot lizard?" WTF. She said she makes the same, if not more money escorting is what she called it. I said, "At a truck stop?" She shook her head and said, "I'm a good-looking woman, and don't like attachments." Needless to say, I did agree with her assessment. I finished my meal, and she took the check from me and paid for my breakfast that morning. Told me thanks for the conversation and being a gentleman. I never saw her after that. Damn, she was a pretty lady. I always wondered about her, and her career as a lawyer still baffles me now thinking about it.
Yes, many time. Of course I say no every time. Too funny one. It was about 5 a.m. I was getting ready to go and was taking a leak behind the truck. I heard voice saying, "You looking for good time?" I wearing aids, so sometime I don't pinpoint where voice coming from. I heard voice again saying, "Excuse me, I'm down here." I look here, it was a midget. I said, "No, gotta go." The second one was at a truck stop. My lady was with me relaxing before going to bed. We watch a stretched yellow taxi Cadillac or checker cabs. Was going to each truck and finally came to us. She came to my truck, climb on steps and ask us if I'm looking for good time. She's seen my girlfriends. We said no. LOL, the taxi driver had to be breaking law, I'm sure.
Thank you for listening to the end. Subscribe and like. Bye.